Hey everyone, welcome back to another explainer. Today we're diving into something really fascinating. We're going to take a microscope to a highly potent, super concentrated piece of modern philosophy. Literally just 62 words spoken by Chris G.Q. Perry. But let me tell you, these words are completely reframing modern dating standards. We're going to unpack the underlying economics, the labor metaphors, and the seriously bold expectations he sets for modern romance. Let's get right into it. Just listen to this quote for a second. If a man doesn't make your life easier, stay single. Wow, right? I mean, it is blunt, it's unapologetic, and it forms the absolute bedrock of what we're looking at today. Perry kicks off his whole philosophy with this massive hook, totally challenging the old school idea that relationships are just supposed to be this endless, agonizing struggle. Okay, let's dive right into this with Section 1, the core relationship thesis, ease over everything. So Perry really doesn't give us any gray area to hide in here, does he? It's a stark, almost ruthless binary choice. Either a man makes your life easier or you just stay single. There's no middle ground where you kind of just accept a little bit of unnecessary hardship for the sake of having a partner. Actually, solitude isn't framed as a punishment or failure at all here. Instead, it's presented as the far superior option if a partnership doesn't actually facilitate ease in your daily life. The big takeaway? Ease isn't just a luxury. It's the absolute minimum requirement. Which brings us to Section 2, love versus a second job, looking at the labor metaphor. Perry uses this really fascinating communication technique where he deliberately borrows heavy, exhausting terminology straight from the workplace. He contrasts a relationship directly against a second job. He explicitly says that relationships are absolutely not supposed to feel like clocking into another grueling shift. I mean, think about it. If you're finishing a long day of actual work, paying your bills, managing your life, only to come home and feel like you're punching the clock again to manage your partner, you've completely lost the plot. A partnership is supposed to be your sanctuary from the daily grind, not an extension of it. And this builds to a really stark physical metaphor, taking weight off your shoulders versus adding to it. We all carry that baseline weight of existence, right? The stress, the responsibilities, just the daily friction of life. Well, according to this framework, a real partner steps in and physically or metaphorically removes some of those burdens. They do not act as extra cargo. If you're feeling heavier or more drained, or just burdened by their presence in your life, the dynamic is fundamentally broken. They're adding to the weight rather than lifting it. Moving right along to Section 3, the definition of liability and assessing the risk. Let's compare two very distinct states of being here, peaceful alone and peaceful with him. Perry is essentially asking us to evaluate our emotional states the same way a harsh auditor would look at a financial ledger. Are you more peaceful when you're just sitting quietly by yourself in your own space? Because if you are, then bringing this person into your life is operating at a massive deficit. A deficit of peace when you're together is a critical failure in the whole design of the relationship. Consider this definition of a liability. A relationship where you are less peaceful with him than you are alone. This is not love. Honestly, this is an absolute masterclass in reframing. He brilliantly takes a standard business and accounting term and applies it straight to human emotion and romance. Think about what a liability actually is in business. It drains your resources. It costs you. In this scenario, your precious resource is your peace of mind. If the relationship costs you your peace, Perry says point blank, it's not love. It is literally just a liability. And now we hit Section 4, the 10 times rule, which is the ultimate ROI. 10. That is the magic number. It's a strict, unforgiving metric, to be honest. The source explicitly demands that you must be 10 times better off in a relationship than you were on your own. Not just slightly happier, not just, marginally more comfortable on a lazy Sunday afternoon. 10 times better off. He's demanding exponential growth in your quality of life as the literal price of admission for giving up your peace and your singlehood. Now, what's really interesting about this required multiplier effect is how it completely changes the dynamic. Think about your baseline when you're on your own. You have your own peace, your own routine, your own stability. The expectation set here is just immense. A partner isn't there to just match your baseline, they're there to amplify it by a factor of 10. This framework really forces you to step back, look at your own life, and ask yourself, does the math of this partnership actually check out? And that leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative question straight from Perry's closing words. What's the point? If the relationship doesn't make your life exponentially easier, if the daily dynamic feels like clocking into a second job, if it acts as a literal liability to your mental peace, and if it completely fails to yield that 10 times return on your emotional investment, what is the point? It is a profoundly challenging question to leave you with today. urging us all to evaluate the true economics of our own relationship standards. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep expecting that 10 times return.